we don't have a landmark anymore. I get mad when I was people saying when you come in the lane, don't hit that guitar. You don't want to bend it. See the guitar on top of the boat.
Yeah.
Don't hit that guitar.
Okay.
Back. was 1750. Last time was 1830. Again, I got it here. And so you're a little bit inconsistent there, which doesn't seem to be all these little steps. It's going to be hard to figure that out. Maybe on its master. Mag's the master. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Good. So the mag's off all the way, right?
Nope.
There you go.
No.
So now when you are let's see here, where were we? Okay, we're on downwind here. Here's final. We're gonna turn base right here. So when we turn base here, what I want you to do is start turning. Well, you're in the left, so start turning, throttle back to 17, and then go do the flaps. So you turned, then you thought about the flaps, then you went to the power. On the last time when I didn't say anything, and the power was actually 1830, and then you were on base, and you were doing, the airspeed was good, but the altitude loss was zero altitude loss. So now when you were coming on final, you were like 1450, so you lost 50 feet on base. So you want to try to lose a symmetrical amount, maybe 400 or 500 on base, 400 or 500 on final, but it's symmetrical. So what you did was you stayed high on base, and then when you turned final, you're like, oh shit, now I got to get down. Well, when you were turning final, I think your speed, your RPM was like 1800 or something. I can't remember. It's quite high. So my point is, it was all started, that whole last scenario of stuff that was going wrong, all started with one problem. One little problem right here. If this was set at 1700, the other stuff would have fell into place. So this was off a little bit, then that caused something else to be off, and then something else and something else. Okay, now, then when you were tracking in, you're still drifting a little to the right. That's because we had a tiny crossing from the left up there. When we got down low, it kind of goes away. But we were kind of drifting, so we had to be like a little bit of a crab here. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah,
a little bit of a crab to stay on that center line all the way in, right? Because if that center line, if you're tracking down the edge of the cornfield here, it doesn't look like a big deal out there. But now when you get down there, now you got to make this correction back, and now it takes a lot more work, a lot more brain power thinking about what do you have to do here when you already have to maintain airspeed and everything else. So that's why I'm really fussy on that line. You want that line right down the middle. You don't want it on the edge, left or right. And now when you got down there, when you got down there to flare, you were pretty high sink rate. It was like 1,000 feet per minute. Why was it so high? Because it had to be, because we were so high. So we had to make a correction. So now we have a high sink rate, and now when you go to flare, you're like, oh shit, I'm not really sure about this. And so it's a little touchy when you're not used to it. It's like that truck deal. Let's say with the truck, you're supposed to start letting off the gas here, downshift a little bit further. From here to that white barn is when you're supposed to do it. But if you wait till you're at the white barn, now you got to downshift harder and on the brakes harder, right? Because you want to stop wherever you want to stop. Okay? So it's just like the truck. If you fall behind on one or two things, it's going to take more work to get it to where it needs to be. So that's what happened. One little thing was the power. That one little thing caused all that other extra work, and it caused you to not have as good of an outcome because of that one little mistake. Okay? So all these little things, they all need to be kind of fit in. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to say 1,700 as every single time. No. It might be some other number. But I'm trying to get it for you to give you cookie cutter stuff. Bang, bang, bang. So if you do everything like this, a monkey could do it. Okay? Now, if you screw up and all that, no, a monkey can't do it now because a monkey can only do easy stuff. That's why I'm trying to make it easy for you. Okay? So all these little things, heck, I could come over there at, way high and I could make it. But that's because I have a lot of experience. Just like with a truck. you could do a lot of stuff in the truck that I can't do because I don't have the experience that you have. So, but when you want to have somebody who doesn't have the experience, you give cookie cutter stuff, real easy stuff, bang, bang, bang.
Right.
Okay. So in general, you did really good today. I'm really impressed. Try not to grip so hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna affect this. Look at my arm; it's bulged out here now.
Yep.
It's because now I can't feel. Now I could feel like this, but when I'm like this, I can't feel anything because I'm so stressed out. Now I'm not knocking you because everybody does it. I've done it. You do it. Everybody will do it. But if you try to loosen up your grip a little bit, make sure the trim is right. I think you do the trim pretty well because a lot of times when you go like this, it doesn't yank out of your hand.
Right.
So all these little things, bang, 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 it'll all add up and it'll be like no problem. Okay. But it's funny because you're so concentrated on landings that last time you actually saw you didn't use the rudder. Because I think a couple times before it didn't really click with you that you didn't use it. But I pointed that out right then and you go, aha.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Because why? Because you're so concentrated with the landings.
Yep.
And that's what will happen when people, you had a pretty good day here. I didn't want to keep going and beat you into the ground because you were going up pretty good, and then you started to plateau off, and then you started to drop a little bit. So that's when we want to stop. We don't want to bang you into the ground and leave on a bad note.
Right.
But you did really good for your first really day of landing. I mean, yeah, you did a landing here and there before. I was telling you this and that. But this is like bang, bang, bang. You did a lot of them, and you knocked it out, pretty good. Do you have any questions for me? Like anything that doesn't make sense or that you have a question on? Or?
No, I mean, yeah. It's all just getting to remember like when you're supposed to like do,
Oh yeah.
when you pull the power out
yep.
And when you first notch a flap. Like I'm so worried about like, when do I put second flaps, second thing of flaps, when do I do third?
I would say one.
And then I'm like too high now.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing is like when I line up with the runway, because I'm in the left seat, I'm thinking I'm in the middle.
Oh yeah, I know.
But I'm off to the right.
Could you see that at all? Like once in a while, can you see?
After you called it,
okay.
I would see that I'm.
Because the ground track was like right down the edge of this corn here.
Yeah.
And down the edge of the red barn there.
Okay. So maybe I should.
That was the ground
concentrate
track.
More on that.
I think you have to compare. You have to compare more. Well, it's hard because you've never done anything like this before. You're always been on a road straight, boom.
Yeah.
You can tell if you're on the center of the road because they got two lines there.
Yep.
But in the air, it's kind of more subjective. You don't really see exactly.
Exactly. You don't. It's all about.
And like the way people's eyes work and stuff a little bit different too. Like you might be looking at that blue equipment out there. Like, okay, let's go down to the middle of that blue equipment. But you're not really looking at how you got there. You're just going to the blue equipment. You don't care if it's this way or this way. So you're going like that, where somebody else might be, no, I'm going here and I want to go from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to kind of like just get more used to that, how that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just getting the experience.
Yeah. I think that's part of it.
And also getting the jitter factor out of it.
Oh yeah. But you could tell that when I told you to do something. Now sometimes I said something and you hesitated. Other times I said something, you did it right away. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard for me to tell exactly how much lead time you need.
Right.
So when I'm telling you to do something, I'm like, okay, if I tell you to turn left, okay, turn left. Mm-hmm. And you go like this. Mm-hmm. Next time I'll say turn left early, and I'll say turn left. Mm-hmm. And well, shit, I told you early. Well, wait a minute. One, you screwed me up because you hesitated. Right. So now I called it early, and you screwed me up again because you did it right when I said. So there's a little bit of that timing thing that sometimes I don't really get perfect because I'm like, okay, is he gonna do it right when I say it, or is he gonna do it, a 2-second delay? So that's partly on me where I have to kind of figure you out to see when you're gonna do something. Kind of like in the flare, like when I say, okay, pull back, and I say pull back, and you do nothing. Next time I say pull back, and you, oh shit. I was waiting for him to delay a little bit, you know what I mean? So part of that's me, where I say it at the wrong time because I don't know how you're going to react. But there was a few times there, I mean, you just did everything. You put it on the ground yourself. I didn't touch anything.
Mm-hmm.
My hand was ready in case I had to. And a couple times, you didn't do it right, and I would let you just boom. It was on a little hard, so I wanted you to get that feel like I didn't touch anything, but this is how you did it. Where I think you had 3 in the middle there that I told you every time, and you rolled it right on. It was perfect. And then 1 or 2 that were a little solid because I didn't see anything. I just let you do it, But yeah, I don't think you did too bad for your first time of landings and that. So
awesome.
Good.
I enjoyed it.
Good. So yeah, so now you know kind of what it's like and how it's going to work out. What was I going to say? Yeah. So what I would say to think about and to work on is try to maintain the speeds and that kind of stuff. You do pretty well with the speeds, but remember. Oh, here's what I was going to say. That last time, I asked you what the speed was or what the RPMs were, and you said 18. And it was like 1830, and I said, and we were turning final. It was 1830, I think, and I said, oh, okay. What's it supposed? I don't know if I remember if I said what's it supposed to be, but you told me it's supposed to be 1700, and you told me it's 1830. Wait a minute, that's a problem.
Yep.
That's not where it's supposed to be because you told me where it's supposed to be. See what I mean? So it's good that you know what it's supposed to be, and then when you said it wrong, oh, okay, that's fine. Now sometimes when I get people and we go more deep into this, like they're working on landings for a while. And then I'll say, okay, tell me what you're doing wrong. And they won't say anything. I go, okay, now I'm going to take the plane. I'm going to fly around just like you do. I'm going to take one time around. I'm going to do exactly what you do wrong. You tell me what I'm doing wrong. Sometimes they can tell me. Sometimes they can't. The ones that can't tell me, now we have to do a little more work because now how do I convince them that these things are wrong? When I told them the way they're supposed to do. So I'm not trying to mock you. I'm not trying to say you don't know. Right. But you told me you were going to pull to 17, and you pulled to 1830.
Yeah.
That was the kicker. That was the reason why we were high. Okay? If we pulled it to 1500, we would have been low. But you know what I mean? So little things all add up. That's what I'm trying to say. Every little nitpicky thing adds up. So if you are a little off on this, a little off on that, it's going to all add up at the end. Same with the truck. If you're a little off on when to slow down, when to downshift, it's all going to add up,
Yep.
So it's not like a big deal. It's just that's what you can expect when things aren't perfect. And then if they're not perfect, now you have to do some more work to change it. Like that time there, high sink rate, you have to flare a little earlier, and now it's going to be harder because you're not used to that. See what I mean? You're used to cookie cutter, bang, bang, bang.
Yep.
Okay? So you did good, though. Keep up the good work.
Awesome.